Here's fans, I'm Scott Warris. It's time for a NACC championship preview for women's golf. Rounds 1 and 2 coming up this weekend down in Rockford. We have senior Maddie O'Keefe. We have sixth-year head coach Julie Lang-Bartels to give us a little preview and talk about Maddie's season and the team as a whole. And Coach, we'll start with you. Let's first talk about what is on tap this weekend. A couple of rounds down in Rockford. Let's just step back and make sure everybody realizes and recognizes kind of how the NACC championships are formatted and how ultimately a champion will be crowned.
So, thanks, Scott, for having us here. We start with 2 rounds at Dean Golf Course in Rockford, Illinois, and we will take 6 girls from our team, and we'll count our 4 best scores from each of the day. Could be 2 different girls whose scores are dropped on Saturday versus on Sunday. So we have an opportunity to really shoot well. We have 6 very solid golfers going to play this weekend. Aldean's a beautiful course. It is, I believe, rated the #1 public course in Illinois. Has a fair amount of water, but it's really, really beautiful course. The 18th hole is really special, actually, if you want to check that out. And we're just excited to play. You start on Saturday based on your standings from last season. So last year we came in 4th in the conference, I believe, by only about 4 strokes back a second. So that'll put us in the second wave going off the first tee. So there's waves going off the first tee for an hour and a half, and then the bottom portion of the conference goes off the 10th tee.
You know, we were talking before we started taping, and you commented about the depth of this team this year and poses some challenges, but good challenges when you talk about team depth.
Absolutely. I remember back to my first few years. I mean, we were struggling to have four players out there, but this year we have 8 for sure solid golfers where every week I'm trying to decide who should go and play, and that's an amazing thing because they push each other then to get better in practice. It's not just, oh, we have 8 golfers. It's, hey, I got to beat out someone, and we can make it much more competitive, and then everyone improves because of that.
How would you, for fans who aren't familiar, how would you characterize this year's team and the women that you have competing and playing for you? Are there certain characteristics that they all have while individually having strengths and weaknesses, obviously, but collectively, how would you describe this year?
Well, all of the ladies on the team are wonderful, caring Christian women. And I mean, that's starting with that right there, that makes an excellent, enjoyable opportunity for everyone, not just me as a coach, but the girls on the team have fun together. And then because they're enjoying themselves, I believe they're able to push themselves and practice more, and they want to be there. They want to get better. And so that's really helped us this year. This is probably the best year of my 6 years that I've been at WLC for players' ability and our scoring. So it's been really fun to watch the growth, especially for Maddie and the other seniors that we have on the team over the 4 years. We talk about it a lot on the rides home, like, man, I shot this last year here. Wow, what an improvement. And so it's been really fun to see that growth over the years and get us to where we are today as a really strong women's golf program, competing, really competitive in our conference.
Before I turn to one of those senior leaders, let me ask you specifically about the young lady on my left, Maddie O'Keefe. Where in her career now as a senior have you seen Maddie's growth most?
Maddie is very calm, cool, and collected on the course, and so that's always been a great part of her game. She works super hard. I remember last year in the conference championship, she didn't play one of the days as well as she had hoped. She came back to school, hit in the golf center for an hour that night, goes out and plays really well and places herself on first team all conference. So that's just been Maddie's work ethic the entire 4 years. And if you looked up her scores freshman year, you'd see she was shooting in the low hundreds at random times. And she's consistently in the low 80s for us this year. So the growth has been just phenomenal to watch.
All right, let me turn literally and figuratively now to Maddie O'Keefe. I'll ask you the same question that I asked your coach. Where did you seek to improve from last year to this year, being all conference last year? How did you want to get better, and how do you feel you've done in reaching your own personal goals?
Yeah, I would say that my biggest goal was just to be better than last year, to be able to go back out on the course and look at shots differently, because I think that there's so many wasted strokes, and especially during spring season is when I had seen this last year. My mom commented it to me as well. She was like, those are shots that you typically wouldn't take. Like, that tree's right there. Why are you doing that? So then kind of challenging that in my mind of where can I save strokes most on the course and how can I feel confident going into this next shot? And I think that that's something that I've really executed this year of just like, hey, look at, you know how to hit this shot. You've done it so many times. Julie's had us hit 50-yard shots in practices over and over again. So like going up with that confidence of, hey, I know how to do this and I can do it. Yeah.
You said a magic word in probably all sports competitively, but maybe more in golf than anything, and that's confidence. And we've talked in the past with some of your teammates and some of the men's golfers about the mental part of this game, where it's just you and a club and a ball, and you are out there by yourself. How difficult has that maturation been? I mean, how hard is it, think back to maybe your freshman year, in terms of gaining that confidence, and what maybe advice would you give younger players?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'm still struggling with that. So it's something that you're constantly building on and trying to go into it. But I think it's, we talked about having the mentality of a goldfish, like put behind that last shot. And you've executed this before. So be able to go into it with a new perspective, a new look at it. This is a new shot, so take it that way. But I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that I'd give to a different golfer would be just swing with what you've got. Like, don't think about all those missed opportunities or what could go wrong with this shot. Think about what could go well with this shot. And always look forward, not backward.
You're from Erin, Wisconsin. Erin Hills is in your backyard. I don't think literally, but close to it. And you were mentioning off air that you caddy. How are you a better golfer for being a caddy in the off season?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think this year it really helped me with having two people. So I really was double bagging this year instead of single bagging, which is a big difference. So you have to think faster. It's not like you're sitting around and you can discuss a lot about the shot, especially when you've got pace of play being pushed in your face 24/7. So I think that just being able to look at this is the smart shot and this is going to be the hero shot that's probably not going to go very well for you. So being able to see other people's failures in a sense, that's really helped because then I can tell myself like, hey, look at, you could totally just chunk this a couple of feet in front of you and then be in the same position if you take that hero shot. But if you take the smart out, you're going to have the opportunity to still score on this hole. And scoring is such a big thing. A triple bogey versus a double bogey in my mind is just huge because that's one stroke right there. But that's one stroke that could put you behind somebody to not make an improvement for the team or to play somewhere.
Before we wrap this thing up, I'll ask you both this final question as you get ready for the first two rounds of the conference championships down in Illinois this weekend. Give me an X factor for you individually, for your team as a whole, something that you feel could be a bit of a wild card maybe in terms of where you all will place.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, I think last year was kind of like, we just didn't know the course very well. But this time we're going in, we have knowledge of both Aldine and Washington County. That's such a big blessing to have that as one of our home courses. So I think one of the biggest factors is just like mentality. What are we going into it with? What are we viewing? Are we able to put behind those poor shots? So I think just overall keeping our spirits up and high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rounds 1 and 2 maybe down in Rockford, but then the following weekend, the final two rounds are Washington County Golf Course. All right, Coach, final thing for you. Same question, an X factor, something that may be a bit of a wild card for your crew.
I'd have to agree somewhat with Maddie, knowledge of the course. But then the other thing we did this week is we brought in a sports psychologist to try and talk through situations that could arise with our team. And I'm really hopeful that her advice to our players shines through and that we just see a lot of that mentality of moving forward, like Maddie mentioned. And I'm hoping that is an X factor for us and gets us into that top realm for weekend number 2.
All right, Coach Julie Lang-Bartels, Senior Maddie O'Keefe. This program has set record after record this year. Maddie has set personal bests week in and week out. We'll see what the conference championships hold. Thanks for watching, everybody.